Welcome, one and all, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Hey, quick question. How was your weekend? I certainly had an interesting one because some of my staff had a memorable one. Here's what happened. Last week, I heard from my old colleague, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Triumph offered to go down to D.C. and interview some Congress people to highlight the January 6th hearings. I said, sure, if you can get anyone to agree to talk to you, because, and please don't take this as an insult, you're a puppet. Well, he did. Democratic and Republican Congresspeople agreed to talk to Triumph. He's a bipartisan puppy. He's so neutral, he's neutered. Now, Triumph and my folks shot for 2 days in congressional offices across the street from the Capitol building. They went through security clearance, shot all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, invited into the offices of the congresspeople they were interviewing, and that's very important. You have to invite Triumph in. He works on Dracula rules. Now, end of day 2, Thursday evening, after they'd finished their interviews, they were doing some last-minute puppetry and jokey make-em-ups in a hallway when Triumph and my folks were approached and detained by the Capitol Police, which actually isn't that surprising. The Capitol Police are much more cautious than they were, say, 18 months ago, and for a very good reason. If you don't know what that reason is, I know what news network you watch. So, the Capitol Police were just doing their job. My staff was just doing their job. Everyone was very professional. Everyone was very calm. My staffers were detained, processed, and released. A very unpleasant experience for my staff. A lot of paperwork for the Capitol Police, but a fairly simple story. Until the next night, when a couple of the TV people started claiming that my puppet squad had, quote, committed insurrection at the U.S. Capitol building. First of all, what? Second of all, huh? Third of all, they weren't in the Capitol building. Fourth of all, and I am shocked I have to explain the difference, but an insurrection involves disrupting the lawful actions of Congress and howling for the blood of elected leaders, all to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. This was first-degree puppetry. This was hijinks with intent to goof. Misappropriation of an old Conan bit. Now, it is predictable. It's really Conan's fault. It's really Conan's fault, you know? Now, it's predictable why these TV talkers are talking like this on the TV. They want to talk about something other than the January 6th hearings on the actual seditionist insurrection that led to the deaths of multiple people and the injury of over 140 police officers. But drawing any equivalence between rioters storming our Capitol to prevent the counting of electoral ballots and a cigar-chomping toy dog is a shameful and grotesque insult to the memory of everyone who died. And it obscenely trivializes the service and the courage the Capitol Police showed on that terrible day. But who knows? Maybe there was a vast conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States with a rubber Rottweiler. After all, Thursday night, the night that they were detained, was the 50th anniversary of the Watergate break-in. Are we supposed to believe that was a coincidence? Yes. And we all know the long history of puppet lawlessness. The Great Muppet Caper, the Fraggle riots of the 1980s. Who can forget when Kukla, Fran, and Ollie were hauled into the Charlie McCarthy hearings? And how do you think King Friday came to power in the neighborhood of make-believe? With the backing of the head of his secret police, Henrietta Pussycat. Meow, meow, attach jumper cables to your nipples, meow. But in this case, our puppet was just a puppet doing puppet stuff. And sad to say, so much has changed in Washington that the Capitol Police do have to stay at high alert at all times because of the attack on January 6th. And as the hearings prove more clearly every day, the blame for that actual insurrection all lies with Putin's puppet. Now, speaking of the thing we should be speaking about, the January 6th hearings start back up tomorrow, and that is not good news for former President Phony Soprano. Tomorrow, the Jan 6 committee is focusing their investigation on his campaign scheme to send a group of so-called alternate electors from states Biden had won, and to have those fake electors declare themselves the rightful electors and submit false electoral college certificates. Did they really think that was going to work? Why didn't they just have the former president show up to the inauguration in a rubber Joe Biden mask and try to fool Justice Roberts into swearing him in again? Wait, which one's the real Joe? We'll have to flip a coin. Fat Joe, you call it. Now, the House committee says they have proof that this plan went all the way to the top, and the former president himself was involved, which explains why one of the proposed electors was an onion ring and a wig. The former president was down in Nashville this weekend, and he tried to downplay his failed coup.
As to what happened on January 6th, it was a simple protest. It got out of hand. And I will say one thing they don't talk about. They never show the size of the crowd. I believe it was the largest number of people I've ever spoken to.
Who cares about the size of the damn crowd? That's like Jeffrey Dahmer saying, I know I murdered a bunch of people, but look at how many leftovers I have. It was really, it was just a potluck that got out of hand. Speaking of which, if you're hungry, there's some leftover ham. Then the former president mocked Mike Pence for following the Constitution.
Mike Pence had absolutely no choice but to be a human conveyor belt. Here's a human conveyor belt. He had no choice, no matter what. There is absolutely nothing that he could do. I said, well, what is he, a robot? I actually came up with the word conveyor belt.
No, you did not. You've known those words for years. It's how you eat dinner. Now, there you go. Turning to the actual president, it was a bit of a bumpy weekend for Joe Biden. He was in Delaware celebrating his 45th wedding anniversary when he had a little whoopsie-daisy. There's footage, but before we show it, just know everyone's fine. Jim? Oh! And down goes Frazier. The only thing, right out of frame. He's fine. The only thing falling faster is Bitcoin and Joe's approval ratings. Hey, read the paper. Now, as embarrassing as that might be, this isn't the first time a president's taken a fall on vacation. We all remember when Bush fell off his Segway, or when Calvin Coolidge burned his nips on the presidential slip and slide. Joe Biden was quick to blame the fall on the bike's toe clips.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah. Keep up the good work. I keep wanting to take these things off. I got my foot caught in it.
Which explains Biden's new slogan, build bike better. One person, sure, why not? Why not? One person who weighed in on the incident was the former president, who mentioned the mishap in his speech that night near Memphis, and he made this promise.
I make this pledge to you today, I will never, ever ride a bicycle.
Oh, we know. We got a great show for you tonight. My guest is Senator Cory Booker, but when we come back, another installment of my high-tech segment, Cyborgasm. Stick around, y'all.